Hello, I'm John Proxy and welcome to the Proximity. I'm having a Disco Elysium adventure. We are talking to Bird Roy. Is he called Bird Roy? He's on drugs. Bird's Nest Roy. He's on drugs. He's taking it for mental and emotional, not physical pain these days. What's the people's pile? A bad idea. Some poor leftists built a particle decay generator in hopes of bringing affordable electricity to underserved communities. It malfunctioned. Radioactive waste everywhere. Probably some of it in you, too. The People's Pile was a Type U particle decay generator that failed immediately after entering service, releasing radioactive waste into the River Esperance. What is a particle decay generator? A primitive nuclear reactor, also called a pile. Why is it called the People's Pile? Construction began during the Commune of Revachol. The people continue to work on it after Commune fell. They wanted a cheaper source of energy for Revachol West. Needless to say, I had the last laugh. No, things didn't work out. Why did it fail? Ooh, a new skill point. We can go back with the police powers. An emergency valve defect resulted in steam pressure blowing the turbine, taking the fuel contaminant vessel up in the explosion. Both the faulty design and the lack of finances contributed to the catastrophe. Tell me more about this emergency relief brigade you're a part of. He points at the white triangle on his orange safety jacket. We were an all-volunteer force, self-organised, tried to help the fire brigades contain the spill. Perception sight. The patch gamma radiation lines crossed with a red drop of blood. I lived by the river since I was a small boy. The Esperance didn't have the heart to let it all go to the shit without trying to do something to help out. There wasn't much the volunteer force could do. However, we wasted years in the river mud, years getting sick. He looks at the spiraling light and stops. Must have been tough. Radioactive cleanup. He hesitates. There's a reason why everyone's tried to forget any of it ever happened, and why no one has ever tried to repair or replace the pile. So much disappointment and early deaths, cancer mostly. We knew all that was coming, even as we were cleaning up the best we could. Whose fault was it that the generator failed? No one's, everyone's. He sighs and shakes his head. So much bitterness. A bunch of poor people built themselves a primitive nuclear reactor, hoping for the best. What do you think is going to happen? How did you end up running a pawn shop? Cleanup happened 15 years ago. I was young then. Later my aunt died, left me the shack and the assorted junk in it. So I came to Martinez. People told me to go. Don't go there, it's a shithole. I said, people, we just had a nuclear pile meltdown. I'm gonna get as far away from Faubourg as I can. Still in the same city, but... He shrugs. Thank you for telling me. He shrugs. I like theory more than story. Outward movement, not vortices. Yeah, you've got to get in those get on those vortices, my man. No, I don't want his drugs. Level up my esprit de corps. Lovely. Yeah, I can't do the water door, and it's really annoying that it's there. Where's this damn tape recorder? Shelf of boomboxes. Boomboxes on the shelf look well loved and well travelled. Chipped, dented. They stare at you with unblinking eyes or their tape reels. Stand on the tips of your toes to see more. One especially catches your eye. Deep gold and amber plastic with a big old handle on the top. Classic boombox that says Stereo 8 approved. Just make sure it works before you buy it. Shopkeep, this Stereo 8 approved machine here. Is this the Harmon Walshy W02 made in Vespa, designed in Seoul? He says. Plays all reel-to-reel formats, 2mm, 8mm, 12mm. It's even got a little radio in there. It'll set you back 12 real. Damn it, I spent too much money. Are you sure this is all in working order? Absolutely, I've tested each one myself with recordings of speech, found sounds and music from a variety of genres, even though, he grimaces, don't really like music. Can I just play a tape on one of the boomboxes real quick? Sorry man, I can't be giving out freebies. Never have, won't now. Can I get a discount on this boombox? A police discount. A discount? I do have to keep the lights on, man. It's 12 real. Remember, he doesn't like music. He likes sounds. The Door Gunner Megamix is his type of tape. Certainly he'd give you a discount if he knew you played something experimental. I'm not just doing any police work. I've got the Door Gunner Megamix here. An era-defining work. Let's do 4 real. He purses his lips. 4 real is offensively low, but just this once for the musique concrete cop. Concrete. Thanks for the discount. Here's the money for the boombox. And here you are, quality sound reproduction on the go. It'll play anything, wherever, turn any tape into a conversation of sounds and shapes. The tape player Harmon Wowshi W02. This is a real boombox of everyone's youth. A little banged up and a little chipped, and honestly, not that loud either. Looks cool though, excels at being carried on the shoulder, allowing you to play audio tape items and blast music into the face of unsuspecting strangers. It's like a proper boombox. Let's get out of the box. Oh, for a second I thought I wasn't recording. Interact with that. Play the tape. Porta reel is just what you needed. The reel's attached to the apparatus with a satisfying click. The tape is rooted behind the magnetic reader. You push the commencer, the tape starts spinning. Violent static and machine sounds fill the air. This isn't Revachol, a man's voice says. This is a fucking village. I can almost see the elephants. I have a loud screech, some kind of machinery. The harbour. Kim takes out his notebook. That's a sound of Cavalsand crane. More static. When this shit is done, I'm gonna tear that place up, Soldier of the Apocalypse style. Kill shit, dogs and chickens too. Gonna rent a room, courty, a real nice one. This part is unintelligible. I don't give a shit, I'm fucking done. I'm done mentally. I'll fucking do them all in. Rape that disco cunt on the counter. You know, the dancer whore upstairs. Do it Lee Schmin style. Never did get that taste out of my mouth. A click, then silence. The rest of the tape is empty. Lieutenant presses the button marked Arrêter on your porta reel. The tape stops spinning. Okay. I'm not sure why I said that word today, but it didn't on another episode. I guess I was in a different mood. What do you think? What was that at the very end? Silence? End of recording. What do you think? It seemed authentic enough. Probably recorded off their shortwave, then edited to seem more incriminating. He sounded like he was on patrol around the harbour walls. But he did say he was going to do it. You can't edit words into someone's mouth. Indeed, but the lieutenant looks at the tape. You are familiar with this look now. It's his look of suspicion. There's more going on here than we know. Who's this Corty? One of the other mercenaries, I think. He was the one he was talking to. A friend of his? What's Lee Schmin? A village on the Samaran Isola in TNN. Grad committed war crimes there. The kind of thing he talks about. You think he was there? Who knows? Maybe the tattoos would have an answer. Maybe Li Shmin is just merc talk for atrocity, slaughter. Symbol of a soldier of the apocalypse style conduct in civil environment. What? Okay then, what now? I think we've got a few more questions for Klaj, don't you? Oh no, it's... I forgot this. It's Class A? Class Day? He looks around. This seems to contradict her testimony, at least to some degree. As you take out the tape, the boombox tunes itself back into the cheery radio again, spewing out beats like it's Friday night, baby. But it's not, it's Saturday night. Okay, I want to finish that conversation with the lady. Because that seems reasonably important. Is she still there?
You're back. Good.
Right.
What can I help you with?
I've got some more questions about reality. More lessons in basic reality. She's positively surprised. My favourite part of the day. Go ahead, ask me anything. Ooh, there we go. Plus 12. Jamais vu fort complete. What times are these? These are unimportant times, Detective. She puts her finger on to her lips and points at you. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second too late. Too late for what? For the big time. Her eyes light up. There's a flash of teeth. What's the big time? The revolution, she says. Ha! And what is this revolution I keep hearing about? It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species get together to decide what's next. Who gets the shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle. Why would you say it was a bunch of apes duking it out? Why, of course, we're talking Duke Out Central. Full swing interspecies warfare. And the apes, were they evil? No, I would say the apes were neutral. She looks at you, her gaze sharp. They're good apes, actually. I don't know about that. She turns north to the bombed-out buildings lining the waterfronts, then shivers slightly. Because they were the revolutionaries, weren't they? That's why I got experience. Who got shot in the head? Those would be the communists, generally speaking. 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution, but the communists, they all got shot in the head. Oh, and the anarchists, too. They shot them well. So well one forgets they even existed. Did the communists and anarchists shoot back? Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people. Truly sounds like a tragedy. Yes, the Red Deluge. The Insulindian Deluge, they called it. I had a deluge too, in my head. Point to your little head. Yes, an acute thiamine deficiency can be exacerbated by alcoholism. She blinks her green eyes. Exacerbated means made worse. Anyone else get shot in the head on the opposing side? Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. She shakes her head. Just as well. He wasn't actually the king, just the king's nephew. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad. The cowardly king. I prefer the term risk-averse. King Guillaume was nobody's fool. He could smell a PR disaster brewing, so he got out alive, and his nephew, Frissel, got shot in his place. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderful fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time. Who got the mineral rights? The Liberals got the mineral rights. She looks up at the sky, then inland at the crumbling city. And by mineral rights, I mean everything. Okay, and by liberals, you mean... Liberals are usually middle-class people, detective, or remaining gentry, the beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the Constitution, with monarchy, big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the Ultras, the ultra-liberals. They fared well. Ah. That's what an ultra-liberal is. How did the liberals win it all? They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember? She's one of them, of course. If everyone got shot, who was there to surrender to? The foreign intervention, the coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights. Wait, you just said the Liberals already took everything. The Liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The coalition took the ground. She stomps her rubber-booted foot. The ocean, the laws, the people. Who are the coalition? The coalition of nations. Grad, Mesk, Vespa, Messina, Orange, and Solachef. The armed centre of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do. Moralist? The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights, not shooting people in the head. At least not in the same manner and volume as others do. They are long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government. This is their special administrative region. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same lord they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist. The colour of moralism is blue. The official motto of Linton, the Moralist International, is a blue forget-me-not, a piece of the grey sky. Unofficial. For the moment, there was hope. I don't think I'm a moralist, La Mame. Of course. She sizes you up. Not easy being moderate about head shooting in your line of work. Ah. When was this kerfuffle? Turn of the century revolution, she smiles mischievously. Don't answer it. It's a trick question. The revolution began in '02 on the Grad Asola, though by the end nearly the whole world had gotten involved. Oh, the turn of the century revolution? Yeah, she's been sarcastic because it happened there. Who started it? It wasn't who, but a what? A pandemic of Zarath, particularly virulent prison prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Mazov came along and overthrew the government. What did this Zarath do? It made people overthrow their governments. Wow, really? Of course not. It was a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual cause of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark. Where did it spread from? Where did it spread from there? From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to culturize itself. Mazov's government was overthrown in '08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end. What came next? Why, you and I, officer. She spreads her arms, raincoat flapping in the wind. Our lives in the special administrative region. What is the special admin region? A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the coalition of nations. And you, of course, the citizens' militia. The clatter of typewriter keys fill the main hall of a reappropriated silk mill, Precinct 41. Chad Tilbrook presses enter. Outside, Officer Elfboy Williams slams the door of an armoured motor carriage. The Special Admin Region is the third incarnation of Revachol after the failure of the suzerain and the commune. What happened in the rest of the world? Modernity. They developed the marvels of inter-isolary communication, telematic milieus, radiation, coloured plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade. 51 minus 8 equals 43. Wait, you're saying it's been like this for 43 years? Time flies. What have we been doing all this time? The 20s saw a decade of urban war. West of the river levelled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. 08 to 19 was simply hell. And after that, the 30s. Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere. That's when they discovered disco. Yes, and quantitative easing. It was the market mirage. Unfortunately, the 40s dispelled it. An isola-wide hangover, you might say. So, here we are, she curtsies. Welcome to reality, baby. For her to have been where she is, the Wild Pines group must have picked up the right side. What side was the Wild Pines group on? They picked the winning side. That's why they're here and the others are not. They chose wisely. Perhaps it wouldn't have turned out that way had I been in charge. I might have betted on the king and led the Pines to doom. You would have sided with the king? I would have sided with the cannons. If you'd seen the calibers of the things, you might have too. She thinks. Perhaps it was better I was born when I was. 10 of the 14 Indo tribes got it wrong. Feld, Capri, Tricentennial. So I suppose I would have been in good company. What would you have done differently? Good question. She cranes her neck. What would you have done differently? I would have sought a medical solution. Sounds like Zarath drove these people mad. So a quarter of humanity, she calculates, simply lost their minds. No, that was stupid, John. Why would you have done that? And how would you stop a prion and complex folding protein unlife with the technology of 50 years ago? Damn it, that was stupid. With some hygiene, modest social care, and perhaps a little research program. Good hygiene? Really? Very moderate solution to an extreme problem. It's those sort of half measures that doomed the authorities in Grad. When they failed to step up, Mazov and his party stepped in. In his particular case, maybe a more robust state response might have been appropriate. The lieutenant puts down his notes for a moment. Opinions expressed here do not reflect official position of the RCM. She turns to him. What is your official position, Lieutenant? My position, ma'am? My parents got ripped to shreds in the revolution. I would have gone the same way. I was saved by being 2 years old. That's my position. The abattoir. Understandable, she nods. They got lucky. Perhaps it would have been... see, that was definitely wrong. That's enough about the times. They are what they are. Who knows? An afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know? Not so fast. Who is she in all this? Ask her who she is. She owes you an answer. Esprit de corps, legendary. What is? Think of something close to you. 6 kilometers southwest, in the Valley of Dogs. Junior Officer Chad Tilbrook takes aim at a rabid black dog licking its wounds in the grass. To his left, his partner, Emile Mullins, whispers, You heard what happened to Tequila Sunset in Martin Hayes? Yes, he lost his mind, Tilbrook answers, finger on the trigger. Don't worry, Emile. He pulls it slowly. Slowly now. You'll find it again. We always do. What am I? You? You are an officer of the RCM, she says energetically. The Revachol Citizens Militia. Precisamundo. Good. What is the Revachol Citizens Militia? Nothing more or less than the de facto law enforcement body of post-revolutionary Revachol, Detective. Yes. The Lieutenant steps in to make a gesture encompassing you both. We are the Revachol Citizens Militia. He's being sarcastic. You said de facto. Yes, that means not de jure. The RCM acts in what is poetically called the twilight of the international law. Both at the behest of the coalition government and its chagrin. What do you mean? The RCM responsibilities are defined by the Emergency, Wayfarer and Ailments Acts. Three pieces of legislation keeping the city in a, let's be honest, laissez-faire status to the benefit of foreign capital. All three are good to know. The lieutenant looks up from his notes. When we're out policing. So I'm basically a lackey of capital. There's nothing basic about your role, Detective. It's true that the RCM keeps everything the way our seemingly permanent provisional rulers likes it, she leans in. Yet on the other hand, I know these people, and I deal with them daily. Let me tell you, dear, they are not fans of you. Why? The post-revolutionary decade was a disaster for the coalition government. Revachol in the 20s was hell, especially on the west side of the river. Gang warfare, a botched privatization scheme, a nuclear pile meltdown. They called it the international zone because no nation wanted to claim responsibility. The RCM restored peace, but the coalition failed. A true blue citizens' initiative, she smiles. They will never forgive you. That's somewhat of an exaggeration, the lieutenant interjects. In reality, ours is a mutually beneficial arrangement. Revacholians get to keep the peace in Revachol, and the coalition doesn't have to worry about it. He coughs. Anyway, sorry to intrude. Please continue. Yes, Lieutenant. Permit me to conclude with this. Who you are, to me, is the police, the only legitimate law enforcement authority in Revachol. Say enough. Back to the basic terms of reality, then. And if those authorities drink so hard they need help recalling basic terms of reality, well, I'm here to help. She bows and smiles. What was... Sorry, I didn't mean to go for all this again. That's it for the who. Who am I? Permit me to conclude with this. Who you are to... Okay. I think I did the right answer. I want to know what you are. She hums. She won't maneuver her way out of this one. Say nothing. I'm the vilest of the vile, she says with a sudden flash of teeth. A traitor, a devourer of nations and infants. I am an ultra. She raises the corner of her mouth, smirking, revealing a canine. Dios mío! Draw a cross. A liberal! Yes, she nods slowly. I am neither creature of the forbidden swamp. I am a nether creature of the forbidden swamp. I pushed the king under a shit wagon and betrayed the revolution. My kind surrendered the nation to financial colonists. I can see you thought we'd gone extinct. After all, no sane person identifies as an ultra-liberal anymore. Not in broad daylight. She looks into your eye. You're a centrist at heart. A real moralist, no? Tell me, now that I've uncoiled myself, you find me frightening? In her green eyes you see a mixture of truth and self-satire. Decades of guilt and pride. Forgive her. But only because you like the pearlescent teeth in those light green eyes. I forgive you, but only because you're charming. A duel, I do not know how to pronounce, she pronounces. Who being of great charm and a duel. Oh, I don't know how to pronounce like 4 of these words. A duel, it's 3 vowels in a row. A dial, she pronounces, who being of great charm and guile, sneaketh to the homes of the godlike. Beneath her waterproof raincoat and silk shirt is a body imbibed in numb 12 perfume. you are suddenly and intimately aware of it. Wanna fuck? Oh god, this is really tempting. No, just do that. Vile devil. I hope so. I hope we are able to continue as friends despite my scaly bulk, and the insanity, bloodshed, and the transfer of wealth that took place here. It was not the plan all along. When the dust settled, the liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future. She turns her gaze to the Delta. This was our last generation managed. Would you have done something different? With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinez a monument to the efficacy of its artillery, I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the coalition. Not here in Martinez, not in the Stella Maris or Delta beachheads either. If not for my own sake. He realizes her small, cold fists are clenched. He loosens them. And for my daughters. We have an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Isola down rather than let them have it. You're a smart woman. Perhaps, her earrings chimes as she nods. My intellectual vanity will be my undoing. You're no dummy yourself. Some why doesn't even make sense. No. Or intellectual vanity will be my undoing. And the crown on your head as you lay in the casket. Okay, I'm not really sure what that. You're a patriot? Yes, I suppose I am. But I wouldn't be a patriot anywhere but here. Assiduous talk, ma'am. Kim puts down his notes and gives her a look. Seditious. Sorry. You have daughters? Yes. Whatever else I am a mother and a wife. She closes her eyes, then opens them up again. Now, shall we return to reality? What's this? A bird? She tilts her head. A sphenicid, flightless bird of the polar regions. Keep guessing. Some sort of krill hunter. No, wait. Joyce raises her eyebrows. You're an ancient ruin, a symbol of hubris and decay, half submerged in some salty sea. Are you saying I'm ruined? Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing games. I mean, what is this place here? Ha! She spreads her arms almost as wide. This is the Pierre Rue de Saint-Ghislain 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot. Or two. She looks around. What is the Rue de Saint-Ghislain 33A? A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. New buildings are bâtiments, after les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux, they're old. She looks up at the crumbling facade. This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century, built to mirror the size skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course. Who lived in them? Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. There was once a primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off. Splat! Splat! From the dilapidated balcony, a young girl in odd clothes gives Joyce the evil eye, a red paintbrush held to her throat. You could be wrong, but from here it appears as if she's running the brush across her throat in a soaring motion. Wonderful. What is that? Point to Cindy the skull. The girl in the old lady rags? Yes. Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of the teen infrastructure. Infraculture? Infraculture? Yes, you and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd, the music on the radio, food in the chain restaurant. Those are all too popular for the girl and the old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world, an infra culture, with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture. Oh, damn, she is smart. I understand everything. Make it more complicated somehow. I can't. That's how simple it is. One may dye their hair green and wear their grandma's coat all they want. Capital has the ability to subsume all critiques unto itself. Even those who would critique capital end up reinforcing it instead. Well, that's a sad reality, isn't it? She pauses to take a long, leisurely sip of tea. Alright, what's next? So, there's a comic which is pretty good at illustrating this. But you, occasionally people will say things about capitalism. And you'll get a reply that says, like, oh, you're doing that from your mobile phone, I see. As if to go, ha-ha! You're in the system. How dare you critique it? And it's like, yeah, you've got, you can't, like, you're not going to be able to bring down the system as a hermit. Like, you're going to have to be in the system to critique the system. Like, it's impossible. Like, what do you actually expect to do otherwise? Anyway, but the cartoon, and it's just like a 4-panel cartoon that does it quite eloquently. Does it much better. But anyway. But sorry, I didn't actually make my point. Her point is that her sort of counterculture noise she's making. She's like saying, well, that's all well and good, to literally go out your way to make your own culture, to say, no, I'm entirely separate from this. But, like, you're not really separate, are you? You still have to buy all those clothes and that paint that you're dripping down there, somebody bought. And, like, those clothes, somebody bought. Like, you're in the culture, whether you like it or not. Which is why she likes him more than her. Like, he may be insane, but he does understand politics, even if he doesn't agree. Right, what's next? Suddenly, you're not sure you're part of the superculture. I think I may be a part of the infraculture. Her eyes go round with surprise. And what would that be? Disco. Ah! I can see that, yes. I dabbled in those dark arts myself. Not so long ago. She smiles enigmatically. I assure you, it was a thoroughly supracultural phenomenon, all permeating, downright mandatory. Nothing infra about disco, baby. Your disco? Those days are long behind me. She looks inland with sarcastic wistfulness, and even in the early 30s, I would say I was more of a new girl. Disco was a minor, but still enjoyable facet of the whole thing for me. The new, a cultural era, and the name of the decade it ravished, the 30s. It came out of the post-revolutionary revival. It was ultra-liberal. It involved lots of partying, as you might imagine. The champagne coloured everything. By the looks of it, that would have been when you came of age. Now, she raises her eyebrow at you. Sounds fun. I can't remember a single thing. Wasn't it Guillaume Lemillion who said, if you can remember the new, you weren't there? Wait, Guillaume Lemillion? I was just thinking about that guy. Whatever happened to him? Ah, yes. She looks hesitant. This is not very central to reality, is it? I still want to know. I can't be 100% sure, but I believe he died due to complications from venereal disease. Which one? All of them. So you're saying he didn't vanish to a puff of stardust? I'm afraid no. But then again, one can't be entirely sure. It's all a part of his mystique. Ask someone else and you may get a more champagne-coloured take. Anyway, she concludes, what other basic facets of reality should we discuss? Conceptualization impossible. What is? Reach for something fundamental. What is all of this? The scent, the sound, the air. What world is this? The world? What world? The fading pearls of her eyes looks to the sea. The only one, I suppose. The world of matter and its pale antipode. The camera of her mind glides over the surface of the water. What do you see? Great bodies of water, forest-covered surfaces, clusters of light where cities lie. We've seen the montage. We all have. The world is enough, she concludes. There was a term of endearment they coined for it in the DeLorean century, when humanity was high on this world, discovering more and more of it, these archipelagos included. What is it? Elysium. Beautiful. Wait, is this the one with the evil apes? Not in this case, no. That sounds something like something the Mesk petro-fascists might say. Alright, gaze wanders. The Confederate Republic of Mesk, the world's largest state by territory, has fallen into an especially nihilistic strain of nationalism lately. Her eyes return to you. Isn't it enough to call us out animals? Even animals aren't animals. What are animals then? They're like you and I suppose. Living organisms don't identify with abstractions. Elysium for particular beings. Elysium. The world needs a term of endearment. It does. There are those who would call it hell. What is hell? A term of hatred that originates, like many such things, the Mesk petro-fascists. I don't feel like I've gotten the whole picture yet. Oh, you want a picture of the world? She raises her finger to her lips. There's no complete set, dear. They're having trouble reaching orbit. How come? Great things are difficult to achieve. For now, we're viewing the world from the inside. Sideways. Inside sideways? What shape is this world then? We used to think it was a sphere, but that is beginning to look less and less likely by the day. You wouldn't know it from the tabloids, but the Org nations have been launching weather balloons into the lower ionosphere since the 30s. Org, Occident Retrograd. There's a steadily increasing trickle of images between the big three scientific contributors. They're piercing together a dark grey corona. A dark grey corona! Like an eye. A dome. Yes, she pauses. Pale covers 72% of the surface. There are grey flares and prominences, even arcs above entire isolas. The images are blurry, but if there was a sphere in there, it certainly looks like it fractured long a time ago. Half-light. Cold fear seeps into you. Yeah, what the hell? It's a load of domes. The pale? What do you mean corona? They say there is a rarefied envelope of matter surrounding the darkened disk of our planet. That is, if we are still living on a planet, or, so to speak more plainly, imagine vast swathes of land disrupted by nothingness. I'm sorry, dear. She looks around. It must be quite terrifying through the acute encephalopathy. Phallopathy. Those two don't like. Lopathy. Encephalopathy. Even scientific positivism isn't entirely convinced about what we're dealing with here. But this is one of the great questions of our time. Maybe when they get the complete set together, it will jolt us out of our rut, bring us together, however naive it may sound. A fractured corona doesn't feel like it's going to bring everyone together. You have misimagined it. I don't have the power to convey to you the effect and geometry, the images that depict our world from below orbit. It's... She looks up. It's like the crowning of the world. It's insane. Very disco. You'd love it. Well, if you say it's disco. See? Everyone finds something worth holding on to in this world. However wasted its opportunities. Suddenly, you're conscious of yourself standing there. And whatever this all is, your arms hang down by your sides. The lieutenant observes you both silently. He adjusts his glasses. You said pale. What is pale? Pale is not, technically speaking, part of reality. Yes, the lieutenant looks at his watch. Also, I think we've had enough excitement for today. We do have a case to attend to. Of course, Lieutenant. She bows, then turns to you. Let's try something else. Okay, then. Talk to Joyce about the pail without Kim. Kim glances at you from the corner of his eye. You could sneak back later, and the Lieutenant is not here, unless you can convince him to step aside. Okay, that's all for now. Right. That's been really cool. Oh, I've got to level up as well. I've been John Proxy on Channel West. I don't know why I did that. No, it's not called Channel Channel West. What do I say at the end of the videos? I've been John Proxy. You've been on my channel watching a video. Yeah, I definitely need to, like, figure out. Anyway, thank you for watching. I've been having a Disco Elysium venture. Hopefully I'll see you guys next time. I will see you next time. Confidence, John. Confidence. We'll see what's real and what's not real.